Hi friends, this is Radhakrishnan Pillai here. Yesterday and day before yesterday, we had covered two books of Chanakya, and today I would like to actually start with the third book. But before that, let us start with a small prayer. And here you can chant, or maybe you can do a little bit of a thinking at your own level. But this is a very different prayer from what you must have generally heard. Many of us have our traditional, cultural, religious prayers, but this is a very different prayer that actually is chanted or rather invoked by Chanakya in his Arthashastra. And you know what is that prayer? It says, Om Namaha Shukra Brahaspati Bhyam. Chanakya, before writing the Arthashastra, actually takes the names of his gurus, about his teachers, whom he invokes to take the blessings. So, yes, in our Indian culture, we invoke our teachers, Lord Ganesha, Shivji, your parents, everybody. Chanakya also follows that particular tradition and invokes his teachers. So, once again, I will chant, and please mentally chant this along with me. Om Namaha Shukra Brahaspati Bhyam. Om Namah Shukra Brahaspati Bhyam. Let the blessings of all the teachers come to us. We are in the field of acquiring knowledge. Now let me explain this prayer to a little bit. There are two acharyas or two teachers of political science that has been referred in this particular prayer. The first one is called Shukracharya. Shukra was the teacher of the Daityas, and Brahaspati was the teacher of the Gurus. Both Shukracharya and Brahaspati has been invoked by Chanakya. And please note, this is a very powerful prayer because even though the Devatas and the Danavas, they were fighting against each other, but Chanakya says, I need to take blessings from both the teachers, because finally, teachers are teachers. There is no particular difference that teacher has. Yes, the students can use the knowledge or misuse the knowledge, but teachers are always teachers. So here is a brilliant student of Chanakya, or rather Chanakya himself is a brilliant student who believes that I need to learn from anybody and everybody. And that's how brilliant students are. They don't compare teachers. They say, as long as the teacher is teaching, I will not look into his or her style. I will not look into what his communication skills are. I'm going to learn from anybody and everybody. And I will learn the best and become the best student. So the first message that I want to give right now is basically that we all need to be good students. In fact, yesterday's question that we saw was that how to actually get a guru. And we also mentioned this, that to become, or rather to have a great teacher, first become a good student. So here is the first role of Chanakya, that is about actually being a great student before he becomes a great teacher of Arthashastra. So with that prayer, let me thank all of you for joining me for the last 2 days. The first day we had Corporate Chanakya, the first book of mine. The second day we took the Chanakya's 7 Secrets of Leadership, which was co-authored with D. Sivanandan sir. And today we are going to take the third book, which is Chanakya in You. But before we go ahead, let me quickly recollect for those people who could not make it for the second session yesterday, what we covered. The Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership is actually based on the Saptanga model that is given in the Kautilya's Arthashastra. You may recollect this. The Saptanga model is a sutra that talks about the 7 pillars of a kingdom. Swami Amatya Janapada, Durga Kosha Danda Mitra, Iti Prakriteya. Swami, the king, the great ideal king, along with Amatya, good minister, or good ministers, with happy citizens, Janapada, Durga, that is a good infrastructure or fortified city, and we have Kosha, good treasury or finance, and then of course we have the Danda, the army, and the Mitra. Mitra means the allies, the friends. They themselves are kings in other countries. So all these put together, we have a great kingdom. This is the Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership. Please understand this, that the leadership is a quality that you have to develop, and with those qualities you can develop the remaining 6 pillars. We saw that in detail, and a lot of people had asked us, where do we get this book? And we had already told that it's available online. and you can go to any of the popular online shopping sites, maybe Flipkart, Amazon, and they're available. Today, we are going to look at how we can look at the next dimension of the 7 pillars, that is how do you apply it. And that's exactly where our third book comes in, which is called Chanakya in You. So let me just show you the cover page. Okay. This is Chanakya in You, my third book. So before we go into the whole story and what is the concept of my book Chanakya in You, I'm going to actually talk about the request that we had. That is, please tell us more about. Please tell us more about story. Okay, so let me start now again with the story of how Chanakya selected Chandragupta Maurya. The story of how Chanakya selected Chandragupta Maurya. It was the times when Chanakya was looking out for a good leader in India. He had tried to give guidance to Dhananand, the last king of the Nanda dynasty, but unfortunately, he could not train him too much. But teachers have this beautiful advantage that there are many students that keep coming to them, and they can identify students. So it is said that Chanakya wanted to give all his knowledge to somebody who is worthwhile of taking the knowledge. See, knowledge is very, very important, but a student who wants the knowledge is equally important, and a teacher who can grasp and give that knowledge to that right student is more important. So there is three combinations. One is the teacher, the student, and the knowledge. Let me repeat that. We require a teacher, a student, and knowledge, because what connects the teacher and the student is knowledge. For example, you want to study mathematics, or you want to study botany, biology, literature, philosophy. Now, you are already a good student, and there is a teacher who also is a subject matter expert. Now, what connects you and the teacher is the subject. So you should have the thirst of knowledge. At the same time, the teacher should have the wisdom of that particular field or knowledge of that particular field. I remember when I was in my school days, one of the questions that we were debating, one of our teachers asked us, what is more important, or rather, who is more important? Is the teacher more important, or is the student more important? It's a very interesting question. Is the teacher more important, or the student more important? And after a lot of debates and discussion, they said, okay, actually knowledge is more important. A student who is a seeker of knowledge, a teacher who is a giver of knowledge, when they connect, then the three dimensions get completed. Teacher, student, and knowledge. So be a knowledge seeker, and if you are a teacher, be a knowledge giver. This is where the combination comes in. Chanakya had all the knowledge, the theory, the practical ideas, but he required somebody who will actually be part of granting that particular wisdom in a practical way. So he was looking out, and it is said that he was not able to find a right student. But one day he was going around, and suddenly he actually saw a young boy in a village trying and playing games with his friends. He went there closely and observed. And he was closely observing, he found that this young boy was playing the role of a king. He was playing a small drama, and along with his friend circle, his main thing was to grant justice. Okay, let me repeat that. So he was acting like a person in the court. There'll be some young boys who would come and play the role of being, the soldier. They will bring in a culprit, and they will talk about the case, and Chandragupta Maurya listen to the case and make a good judgment. Chanakya was very impressed by this particular idea that here is a boy, young boy from a village, not at all having a great educational background. In fact, not even educated. He was very illiterate at that particular point of time. But he had basic decision-making qualities. And he observed them and he said, yes, here is my boy whom I can train. Remember, teacher can give a training, but the student should be trainable. I repeat it. Teacher can give a training, but the student should be trainable. So here you found that here is a boy who is trainable. So he went and asked Chandragupta Maurya, saying that, who are you, where do you live, what do you do? And he found out that that basic boy was very innocent and he did not have much background about what all this Rajaniti and all was. And then Chanakya said, okay, can I meet your parents? Can I meet your family members? So he said, okay, I'm living in this particular place, come. Chandragupta Maurya actually took Chanakya to his place, and it was, they were from very ordinary backgrounds. As they say, they were, from a very, very humble backgrounds. And they were suddenly frightened that here comes somebody totally unknown. He's an acharya. He comes into the house along with his boy, and his mother suddenly gets worried and said, oh my goodness, who is this person? And he asks Chandragupta, who is this? So he's saying that, he calls himself an acharya and he wants to talk to you. He's talking about something called as a Gurukul and, Samrat and all those things. I don't understand. So the mother suddenly gets frightened and saying that, ये कौन आ गया है मेरा बेटे को अपने वश में करने के लिए? Who is this boy or who is this teacher who has come with my son and wants to take away my son, my boy? है कौन? So with that doubt, with a lot of insecurities, they allowed him to come into the house, and then they started asking, "Acha, bataiye, tell me, what exactly do you want?" And Chanakya tells his mother, saying that, I have come to actually take permission from you to take away your son. Suddenly the mother said, no, I don't even know who you are and where are you going to take my son? My son is not a tradable commodity. Don't think that, I will just give away my son like that. Chanakya, being a teacher, understands, anybody who would come into your house and say, I want to take your son along, will be naturally afraid, of course, upset. Then he made sure that he calmed down his mother and explained to him and saying that, listen, I'm a teacher, I'm an acharya, there is no selfish interest, and I'm not going to misuse your son. But your son has got leadership qualities, and I would like to actually enhance those leadership qualities. Therefore, I'm going to take him from your small little village to Patliputra, where I will teach him in the Gurukul, and I will make him a Samrat one day. And this little mother did not even understand what you mean by Samrat. I heard about kings and all those things, but Chanakya said, no, I'm not going to make him just a king of a particular kingdom. The whole India requires a very big emperor, the Samrat. And he has got those qualities, but he requires training, he requires guidance, which cannot happen over here. So you'll have to take him to my Gurukul and train him. Naturally, the mother liked that idea because they were all poor people. If there is an opportunity for you, people leave their villages, people leave their cities, people leave their countries. Somewhere she saw a hope that instead of being normal person, there is a possibility that my own son can become big, but not sure. It is said that basically the mother said, okay, let me think about it and I will tell you. So later on, it seems that she discussed with her brother, that means mama of Chandragupta Maurya, usse baat kiya, discussed with him. And again, the mama did not understand what is this whole thing about, taking away my son somewhere, my nephew somewhere else. And he had a different plan. The plan was actually to, when he grows up a little bit, he can use him for his little work. So Chanakya's mama comes with a very interesting plan. The uncle comes with the plan and tells his sister, saying that, hey, kaam karo, let us actually test this acharya, okay, the person who is coming, whether he's really capable of taking our son. So this mama was a little bit selfish. He went, and next day Chanakya came in and he told, please understand, we are ready to give away our son and everything. That is fine, but you will have to pay XYZ amount. And then only you can take my son. It's like, you have to give a guarantee. Chanakya was very surprised. I'm not here to buy and sell, but, but the mama was very clear, saying that, you pay this much amount of money, and then only I'll be able to take. And Chanakya said, okay, if that is a demand, that's fine. He goes and then he gets some money. He's of course not a very rich teacher, but he somewhere manages to give his money. It is told that he actually sells some of the great books that he had collected, the Arthashastras and all those things. And somewhere, one of his friends comes to him and says that, why are you selling your books of Arthashastra? So here is the financial requirement, take it. He takes the books, takes the money and comes back and gives it to the family of Chandragupta Maurya and takes him. That is how the selection happens, and he takes him, trains him up, and all of us know that he finally becomes the great emperor of India. But the moment Chanakya makes Chandragupta Maurya sit on the throne, the first decision that is taken is that please call your family members. Chandragupta Maurya is very happy, My mother I'm going to see again. And also along with the mother, the mama is also called. And there is a lot of emotional moment. And mother is very happy to see her son actually being sitting on the throne, the crowned emperor, all those things. And then in front of the family, Chanakya tells, okay, now you have to take the first decision. Chandragupta says, okay, I'll take the first decision. You tell me what that decision is all about. You have to give death punishment to your uncle, your mama. आपके मामा को आपको मृत्यु दंड देना होगा. Chandragupta Maurya was shocked. His mother was shocked, and so was the uncle. And they say, what kind of a teacher is this? He's telling that you should actually give death punishment. My first decision is to punish my own family members. And then Chanakya says, listen, now you cannot think like an individual or like a family. Now it is your kartavya. It's your duty to actually set up standards in a particular kingdom, because yatha raja tatha praja. As the king will take a decision, so the others will follow. But why such a cruel decision? And Chanakya explains, please understand two things. Number one, your uncle denied education to you when I was ready to give you education. So any particular parent or family member who denies education to the child is actually a criminal. Oh. Second, and the most important thing as a message is that this punishment is not going to be easy. It is going to be the worst thing that you can do is not to educate your children. So let us set an example that anybody who denies, most important, anybody who tries to commercialize their children or trade their children, and if they are continuing to do this, I want to send a message to everybody. This is not accepted in Bharatvarsha. भारतवर्ष में कोई भी व्यक्ति, कोई भी बच्चे का ज्ञान से दूर रखा नहीं जाएगा. We will not keep any child denied from education. That's the message. And I am going to give a powerful message through you, and you have to take that decision. Can you believe this? Chanakya had to instruct Chandragupta Maurya. And Chandragupta Maurya did not have a choice but to say, yes, Acharya. Friends, today we talk about labor laws. And in labor laws, we have child laws also. Child labor is absolutely denied. And across the world, it is getting practiced now. Children and the little age that they go through, the beautiful age that they go through is meant for education. It is meant for spending time with the childhood, with the growth, with the knowledge. But if you make them work, sorry. So friends, the story has got this moral. The moral of the story is that we should continue to train our next generation in leadership qualities. If they have leadership qualities, we should encourage them. And no child anywhere in the world should go uneducated. My dear friends, if you look at many countries, they're still below the poverty line. And some of us in India also is part of it. But make sure, please support a child in education, and especially girl education. That's something that we have to come out very soon and as fast as possible, that we are not meant to be just sitting at home and doing little work. Of course, every work, little or big, is equal. We need to respect all work. At the same time, education should be a top priority. So that's how the whole message that goes is that शिक्षक साधारण नहीं होता, प्रलय और निर्माण ये दोनों उसकी गोद में खेलते हैं. This is a very powerful dialogue that comes in the serial Chandragupta by Dr. Chandraprakash Dwivedi, Chanakya, which is currently going on in Doordarshan also. Every night 10 p.m. you can actually see that on Doordarshan national channel. शिक्षक साधारण नहीं होता, प्रलय और निर्माण दोनों उसकी गोद में खेलते हैं. टीचर इज नॉट ऑर्डिनरी. ओके, शिक्षक साधारण नहीं होता, प्रलय, डिस्ट्रक्शन, और निर्माण, क्रिएशन, दोनों उसके गोद में खेलते हैं. They play in the lap of the teacher. So it's a duty of the teachers to keep educating. And don't think about teachers means somebody who is in the schools and the colleges. No. Teachers are actually the people like our mother, our parents, our seniors, our brothers and sisters or elders to us. So everybody should be a teacher and everybody should be a student lifelong. So that's the first message from the story. Now we go on to the book, that is Chanakya in You. Okay, now this is a very different book, and I already told you that all my books are different. But what is the uniqueness of this particular book? See, if you look at the category of the books that I have written, all my books are actually related to the management and the leadership theories of Chanakya. They come in the self-help or fiction or non-fiction or management category. So these are the kind of categorization our publishers do. So one is called fiction, one is called non-fiction, then we have management, and so many children's book. This is the first book that I've actually written, which is the fiction category. So the first two books, Corporate Chanakya and Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership, both has been part of non-fiction category. So they're not stories, they are management books. But this is very different. Chanakya in You is actually a storybook. Yes. And that's why it's very, very, very popular among the whole youth of our country. In fact, it is so popular that most of the colleges that I'm invited into, whenever I go, they always talk about this book and saying that, yes, it is this book that actually inspires us. In fact, two of my new team members, Tushar, who is part of our team, who is handling the back end, and also Milan, both of them actually have joined me because of the book they read, that is Chanakya. So it's a very special book. The second important thing is that, we had done one of the grandest launches of this particular book. Of course, every book of mine goes through a grand launch. But this was something which was supported by, remember, the Touch Corporate Forum. And a lot of people became part of it. Pranav, Kartika, Mala, Surekha. So, it's very different. And, I remember Meena also being part of the launch. So what I'm saying for all of us over here, it's a very different book because this is the first book has got many uniqueness. So let me tell you about it. The first thing is that this was the book where we actually did 100 launches, 100 physical launches. Yes, and I can tell you date by date where we did it. So if you want to write a book, remember, it is not just the book that you write, it also matters a lot about whether you are able to promote the book. Can you believe that we took a target saying that in one calendar year, we'll do 100 launches? And actually, I remember Kartika telling me, Kartika, who keeps the whole records in my office, and we actually did 118 launches. So we actually shot up that target. Going to colleges, going to offices and talking about the book. That's a wonderful thing. So thank you so much for all the organizers, because one or two programs you can organize as a launch, but not necessarily everybody can do 100 launches. It was a partnership model. So still remember everybody right from the Kutch Corporate Forum and all the teachers who came to bless me. So 100 launches physically across the country. It was a very successful book. But what happened is that because of the success we went around, it actually got an award called the Crossword Book of the Year Award. If you know, the Crossword Bookstores is the largest bookstore chain in India, and they have a national award that they do at India on an annual basis. And there's a category called as popular books, and it is vote for the book. And you'd be surprised, this book actually won the Crossword Popular Book Award, and it's a great feeling for me because almost 6 of my books, that's not a small number, have got nominated for Crossword Book Awards. But this is the book which actually got the award. So, getting nominated itself is a great thing, right? From Corporate Chanakya to 7 Secrets till my last book also, everything is getting nominated. But it's like, getting nominated for the Oscars, which itself is very big. But what is interesting is that, if you get the Oscar, so this book actually got me the most popular Crossword Book of the Year award. So I would like to thank all those who voted them and the Crossword, the organizers also. So this is one uniqueness. But now let me tell you about the content of the book. Now, when I wrote this book, let me accept this. My inspiration was Sudha Murthy. I hope all of you read Sudha Murthy books. If you are not doing that, I think this is shame. मैंने बहुत जिंदगी में बहुत कुछ खराब किया है. So if you want to actually read good quality books, which you should, one of the persons who has inspired me in writing is Sudha Murthy. She herself is a fantastic writer. Her books have sold in crores, not even lakhs, and it's inspired everyone. She's a woman who is a great leader, and I've been very fortunate to meet her personally, take guidance, blessings from her. But what is very important about Sudha Murthy's book is the language is very simple. Even a child and a grandfather or a grandmother can read this book. So when I was actually very happy with the success of both my books, Corporate Chanakya and Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership, they had already become bestsellers. I said, there is one thing which actually I'm missing is, all my books are popular, no doubt about it, but somewhere I have to reach it to the masses, something that clicks. And then I realized one thing, the best way to reach the masses is to write stories. Fiction, yes. So that's how it is, because people write to read stories. So I said, let me write this book, Chanakya in You, in a story format. And I started penning down the thoughts. Again, my publishers, Jayco, we had a lot of brainstorming done. And I came with a fantastic idea. That is something very unique about this particular book. The style, the format, and the method of writing is very, very different. And I'll tell you what is so unique about it. There are many characters in the book. The hero is there, then his whole family is there, right? From his grandparents, his parents, his wife. So it's almost like the story of a young boy, and then it actually goes around with different stages of his life, his challenges, his ups and downs, whatever he does. The thing is that there are so many characters, but not a single character with name. Okay, that's very important. For example, when you read any books, every character, every hero or a heroine will have a particular name. For example, it could be Suman or it could be Krishna or whatever, But here it is quite interesting कि कोई भी character को नाम नहीं दिया गया है. For example, the book starts which starts by saying that I met my grandfather in my village, but it doesn't say Suman met his grandfather whose name was XYZ. No. We are not talking about that. So what happens interestingly is that I met my grandfather. You start imagining it is your story, and you imagine your grandfather meeting in a village or somewhere else. So it's almost like I met my teacher. The teacher's name is not given. I met my teacher in my school or Gurukul, but the name of the school is not given. The name of the Gurukul is not given. As you keep reading the book, what happens is that you start associating the whole story with yourself. And finally, at the end of it, you realize it is your own story. Even though it is a fictional book, you start relating to a lot of experiences of this particular story, of the characters, but not a single character with name. And that's what makes this book very popular, that you start feeling that's actually your story. And that's why the name is Chanakya in You. Another important thing about this particular book is that, another book that inspired me when I was thinking about this book is Many Life, Many Masters. Please do read this particular book. You can Google about it. It's about a story about a medical doctor who sees a lot of people in the death stages, and then they come back with an experience of life after death, and again they come back to the same body and live a life. And it is so interesting. Every chapter ends and connects you to the next chapter with a lot of curiosity and interest. So it's like saying the door has opened. The chapter ends. You say, no, I want to know what happened after the door is opened. So that style is taken in this particular book. So every chapter stops with a clue to the next chapter. So I've got a lot of these people who have told me, said, oh, your book is so interesting that you can finish it off in one line. In one sitting. So I also know people who picked up the book in the evening, and by next day morning, they will give me a call or a message and say, sir, you know what, एक ही sitting में खत्म हो गया. इतना जल्दी, हाँ, बहुत simple है. Of course, the language that I kept is simple. And jaldi aapko pad sakte hain. And there is no jargon words that I have used. In all my books, this is in my strength, that I have never tried to impress people with words. That is something which is very dangerous, because I don't want people to sit down with dictionaries and look at the meaning of what is this particular person trying to tell us. Sorry. So this is a very simple book. You can read it in one sitting and you can actually relate it to yourself. So that is why it's very important that the style of the book that I want to explain is very different. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually tell you the story of this particular book so that you also understand how it is. So the story of this book is something which is about a young boy who is in a journey of self-discovery. I think all of us go through it, right? In our young days, we don't know what to do. We have dreams, we have ambitions, and it's always good to have dreams and ambitions. But most of us are not clear what is going to be happening in our life. So this particular book starts with a young boy meeting his grandfather. As I told you, the young boy meets his grandfather, and his grandfather is a great scholar. And his grandfather has got his own library, and he keeps reading. And the young boy, the little child, when he's very young, he asks his grandfather, "Grandpa, I see you reading a lot of books, but which is your favorite book?" And the grandpa says, "My favorite book is Kautilya's Arthashastra." And that's how I introduced the concept of Kautilya Arthashastra to the young generation. So the boy has got a curiosity, and it's late that he actually gets interested in Chanakya's wisdom or training. But at that particular time, it's only a seed thought. And let me tell you, there is a joke which is also there in the first chapter. Why are the grandparents and the grandchildren close to each other? Let me repeat. Why are the grandparents and the grandchildren close to each other? Because they have a common enemy in between. Yeah, because they have a common enemy in between. Children actually don't listen to their parents. I mean, it's quite natural there is a generation gap. And but the children definitely listen to the grandparents because a very different relationship with lot of detachment. You don't get attached too much, even if you're a grandparent to your grandchildren, because finally your responsibility is to bring up your children, and the children's responsibility to bring up their children. So the relation between the grandparents and the grandchildren is very unique, and each of us have got this experience in our life where probably that one line, that one thought which your grandparents told, the dada, dadi, nana, nani, tata, paati, whatever you call, आपके मन में एक ऐसा विचार छोड़ देते हैं जो आपके पूरे जीवन में आपको मार्गदर्शन देता है. So they give you one particular kind of a thought, maybe based out of their life experience and wisdom, that somewhere lingers in your mind and lifelong it stays. Like I remember my grandfather telling me, never waste food. I was sitting in my native place in Kerala. I was eating food. I was a child at that particular time. I finished the book and finished the whole plate. I was eating rice, and then I just took it to the kitchen. And my grandfather said, "Come back, finish the whole thing completely." I just looked at it and I said, "Grandpa, I finished the whole food because we were told not to waste food." I just looked at it and I said, "Okay." You know what my grandfather did? He said, "Look carefully, you have wasted food." I just looked at it and said, "No." He said, "Look carefully." I looked at it, and can you believe it? There were two actually morsels of rice that were remaining. I said, "Wow." He was so particular. Wasting of food is not just waiting of food, but the two morsels of rice that was remaining, because I thought I had completed. But here I, on that particular two morsels of rice, I ate that, and even today that has remained with me. Wasting food is also giving importance to the last bit that you waste. And then later on, I came to know that my grandfather was part of the army, he was part of the World War, and those people understand the value of food. Today, when you're sitting at home with the coronavirus problem, friends, you can understand the kind of a pain. We are not able to go out, get food, good medicines. We feel, in good times, if you respect food, clothing, if you also respect the small things which we take for granted, we'll actually be great human beings. And that's the message I got from my grandfather. And this is somewhere I got included in the book. So the grandfather of this particular boy tells him that you should study the Artha Shastra. But later on in his life, when he becomes young, he's just completing his college and he doesn't know what to do in his life. He's got great dreams, but no experiences. But somewhere he starts remembering about his grandfather. He says, "I want to study the Artha Shastra." And he talks to his parents and all those things. And he said, "Okay, you want to study, you study, you're young, there is hardly any responsibilities that you have. So you should try and explore that." And what happens is that this boy actually wants to study the Artha Shastra because he remembers the grandfather's book. He takes it, reads it. By this particular time, the grandfather is physically not there. He's dead and gone. But you know what? Grandparents and anybody in this particular world never dies. Of course, they may live physically, but the knowledge and the wisdom and the experience always stays with you. So he starts reading the book. He cannot understand it, but then he actually talks and understands and does a little bit of a research and comes to know that there is a great teacher of Artha Shastra in one village. Of course, as I just told you, the name of the village is not given and all those things. And he comes to know that there is a modern Gurukul. Young boys of our generation, and he goes and says, "What is a modern Gurukul?" So let me find out. So he actually goes to this modern Gurukul and starts learning the Artha Shastra and a great teacher. Interestingly, the whole journey is about one teacher and one student. So he learns it in the Guru Shishya Parampara, and he comes back and says, "Wow, I have understood the knowledge." And he says, "Now I'm going to be a leader." After he comes back, and the teacher is so loving, he gives him the whole thing. He doesn't take a single money from the student. So this young boy is very inspired and said, "Oh," and he asks his teacher also in that village, saying that, "Oh Guruji, tell me, how should I repay the debt that I have taken, the kind of wisdom that I can, the debt that I owe to you." It is called Rishi Rana or Guru Rana. Rana means debt that you own. And he says, "Don't worry about your Guru Dakshina. You practice Artha Shastra and Chanakya in your life. This is the best gift that you can give to me and to yourself." This boy says, "Okay, let me practice Artha Shastra in a modern format." And then he starts thinking that he wants to be an entrepreneur. He wants to start up his own company. He said, okay, I will try that. But later on, experience. His father tells him, listen, my dear friend, it's great to be entrepreneurs. There's no doubt about it. And you should, because entrepreneurs are wealth creators. And we require more people to do startup and wealth creation rather than just seeking for job. But his father tells him, remember, please work somewhere to gather experience. It's always good. And if you don't do that, then you're just building a whole company from scratch. It will take a lot of more time than you expect. It's better you work somewhere. So the boy says, okay. Luckily, the boy is from a well-to-do family. So, there is no problem of roti kapda makka. So he takes it for granted and said, okay, let me work for 2-3 years and then let me say. So he was not very serious about his job. Somewhere he applied. He was very qualified. He was very dynamic. He was very intelligent. And the interview, he easily gets a job. But there is a very important turning point in this particular book. When this boy is waiting for the interview, he just goes there very casually, Okay, chalo yaar, interview dena hai. It's fine. Otherwise, nobody is going to force me to work. Neither am I dependent. Neither my family or anybody is dependent on me for finances. It's okay. But as he's waiting for his interview, there are many other people who are also sitting along with him to go into the cabin of that interviewer. And then he looks at the other people and suddenly he realizes that the other boys and girls who are standing in the interview are not from so much well-to-do families. And start discussing, sitting down and say, kahan se aaye ho, kya kar rahe ho, what are you doing, and all those things. And then it realizes the seriousness that he may have taken the job very lightly. But the others, for them, that probably would be the difference between living and death. Probably he realizes that boy sitting next to him is the first generation who has actually studied in a college. His father is a rickshaw puller, a very poor background, and there's a lot of hope. He cannot even buy a new dress for an interview. But he comes for the interview because probably if he gets that job, that will be a big salary and there's hope along with him for the whole family. And as he listens, he says, oh, I'm taking my job for granted. The reality is that getting a job is a dream for so many families, so many people. There's so much expectation. And somewhere secretly, he says, it's okay if I don't get the job. Let the poor person get the job or whatever. He goes to the interview. But the point is that he is so good in answering the question that he actually gets the interview. And he goes back to his father and discusses, I don't want to take up this job because there are so many people better than me. You know what his father tells him? Listen, now you are mature. Now you will not take a job for granted. Work, don't worry about the others. They'll also get a job somewhere or other. But you should later on go and create jobs for people who are hand to mouth. So he takes up the job with a lot of seriousness. I'll tell you, my dear friends, and especially the young girls over there, all of you are so lucky, especially the millennials. Today, you don't have to worry about jobs. See, I'm in the board of so many companies. I'm part of so many interview boards. I see that, when we were young and we were in college, getting a job interview itself was a matter of pride. Forget getting the job because we did not have so many jobs. But today, we find that today, when they get a job, there is no guarantee that the person will join. There is no guarantee. So we are given interview letters and said, okay, you're good. We have qualified you. We are giving an appointment. Come and join on Monday. And Monday they won't come. And we have to call up and say, what happened? And they no, I don't think I'm feeling good to join this job. Please explain. And then you realize probably there is no seriousness. Maybe that is not your career. It's okay for you. But taking the job for granted, and I can tell you, I work with a lot of HR professionals. And I really find this that there is a problem, a gap of actually keeping people with them, especially the young boys and girls. Now, please understand this. I'm not here to tell you that you should not take up the job or take up the job. But the idea is that respect the job that you have in hand. And don't worry about money and don't worry about comparison. This whole system is about competition and comparison. My friend got a bigger salary than me, bigger package than me. I also should get. No. Your first job is not about salaries. Your first job is about experience. And be humble. You may be the richest person's son. It doesn't matter. Or your mother could be a very rich lady. It's okay. But if you're a young boy or a girl, the first job is your commitment. So if you have tied up and said, 1 year I'm going to work, I will work. You should work. Take the job seriously. And it doesn't matter. If you're sincere, you will grow. So the boy actually does that. He works, he respects the job. But yeah, when the right time comes, he says, now it's time for me to move on and start my own company. And believe me, his boss himself blesses and saying that, I will give you opportunities when you have become a business. I'm very proud of you. So don't just quit the job, learn from the job. Look at all the big players. They have worked somewhere. In fact, I know the Marwadi and the business community, they make sure that the children work somewhere else before they come and join their own businesses. It's very important that business communities know the value of job creation, and for that you do a job somewhere else. So friends, if you've got a job, please respect it. But I would still suggest that apart from the respect, if you are having the qualities, the dream, the vision, please also be job creators. Have your startups, build an organization which you'll be proud of. If you look at Flipkart, I don't know if you know about this particular story, that Flipkart founders actually worked in Amazon. They learned from them and made a better model in India. So this is how it is, respect your job. This boy, of course, goes around, he starts a spiritual tourism company. And then, of course, there is a romantic side to it. There is a girlfriend, he gets married, all those things are there. So it's not a very boring book. So there are a lot of elements to it. But what happens that over a period of a time, the opportunities that he creates for others, I've been personally part of the tourism industry. So I know tourism is actually a job provider. And it's a multiple job provider. One tourist coming in actually gives jobs directly, indirectly to more than 60 people for a single day. The airline or the train, the coolie who will lift your bags, probably the shopkeeper from whom you do, the hotel that you stay. So tourism is a great industry. We have taken that example of him starting a tourism company. But later on, he becomes very rich, and fictionally, he becomes the richest man in the world. But the important thing is that he learns from different people. He's got a lot of guides and coaches during this particular time. And he's got business mentors. In fact, there is a character called as a noble businessman. Yeah, that is a very interesting character called the noble businessman. So he becomes the young boy's role model that you can do business, but you have to do it very logically, ethically, with integrity, and as they call, you have to be dharmic. You cannot cheat the government, not pay taxes. No. So he follows the rules, and along with money, he also creates respect in this particular world. So friends, why am I telling you this? This particular story is very, very interesting. So you can go on, you can relate to yourself. Now coming back, a lot of people ask me, is this your story? Okay, so I would say that it is the journey of a particular author always comes in his books. It is not only me. So when authors write, there is one part of the book which is related to their lives. This is a very natural thing. But let me tell you, this is semi-autobiographical. So it is not fully my story because, of course, I also went to Kerala. I studied under my guru. I studied the whole Arthashastra under Dr. Gangadharan Nair at Chinmaya International Foundation. That's a true story. I started a spiritual tourism company. That's a true story. But let me tell you, my grandfather never inspired me to study the Arthashastra. I told you about my grandfather's story who inspired me to value the food. But here it's a fictional part of it. So it's a semi-fictional book. But yes, there is another part of the whole book where, he goes around and that is PhD and all those things. Of course, also I did my PhD. So all this part of it is true, but there are a lot of parts about the book which is about very, very fictional in nature. But the idea is that it's a story that you can relate to. It's a story that has got principles that doesn't change with time. So friends, I would request all of you to kindly go through this particular book, Chanakya. And I want to tell you something very interesting about this particular book, that very soon we are actually creating a drama. Yes, there'll be a stage drama coming on the book Chanakya. So there's a student and an inspired young generation theater people who are approaching me. So we are almost working on this. Of course, from the book, when the drama comes in, it will be an adaptation, but we are already working on that. And maybe in 2-3 months, you'll get an update. So we are going to see the fictional side of Radhakrishnan Pillai's book into drama. Of course, I got involved in a lot of movies and all those things, which I'll keep speaking later on, because, all my books have inspired me, inspired my readers, but it got inspired by a lot of filmmakers, drama people. So this book, very soon, you'll see it in the drama format. So friends, that is about my book, Chanakya. Again, available in 10 regional languages, not only English. हर भाषा में आपको मिलेगी. आप Google में search कीजिए. Every language is available. It's also available on Kindle. Yeah, that's very important. So today, if you don't have that patience, you can download the e-copies. So it doesn't matter आपकी कौन सी भाषा है. It's available. They're all doing well, bestsellers, and online you can get it. So with that, I'm going to come to the last part of today's session, that is answering questions. So before I start answering questions, there are a lot of things that we have got on the list. I thank you for your questions. But one thing that we had is basically the kind of a response for yesterday, what we said in the Chanakya Saptanga model. Friends, in that I like to actually tell you that we also have made a movie on that. Oh yeah, but yesterday I did not tell you, based on the Saptanga model, produced by Shemoro. It's called Chanakya Speaks. So if you want to just go and Google Chanakya Speaks, you can find the trailers of the movie and all. It's an online platform, you can watch it. Later on, we'll post some details about that so you can watch it and everything. So the Saptanga model as a book, as a story of D. Shivanandan sir is also there, but there's a movie called Saptanga model. So let me take up some questions over here. And the questions that we have is, okay, where do I find your books? It's a very generic kind of a question. So all my books are available, as I told you, in Flipkart and Amazon. Just Google it. I have a YouTube channel. You can Google it. So I'm quite available on the internet platform, but you can also get the physical books everywhere. You can go to any bookshop, just ask for Chanakya books. You'll find a Radhakrishnan Pillai one book or the other. So the next question that comes in is how to develop leadership qualities. Because yesterday we spoke about leadership qualities. And what if my boss is not a good leader? Oh, okay. Okay, how do I develop leadership qualities and what to do when my boss is not a good leader? Okay, very practical question. Number one, the first way to develop leadership qualities is work under a good leader. Yeah, very important. Leaders are very inspirational. So try to get a good leader who is inspiring. Work under him or her under some project. So imagine if you get a chance to work directly under Ratan Tata or Narayan Murthy or Anand Mahindra. Would you be happy? Yeah. There you don't go and negotiate salaries, okay? Say that, okay, I'm going to work with Anand Mahindra, so you should give me a big package. It doesn't matter. It's not the package, but getting access to somebody like a Narayan Murthy or a great leader is good. And when I'm saying, I'm only giving a corporate example, there are leaders in every particular field. So if you're in the political field, if you get a chance to work with the Prime Minister's office or your Chief Minister's office, never deny it, okay? It doesn't matter what the money, of course, they'll take care of you, don't worry about it. The 2-3 years that you work as an apprentice will develop leadership qualities. So how to develop leadership qualities is by working directly under a leader and choose your leader carefully. Choose your boss also carefully. So that comes to a second question. What if I don't have a good boss? I know it's like saying that now you suffer. There are two things. Number one is that your boss may not be ideal. So that's why you're saying he's not a good boss. That's one question. But you never be impulsive if your boss is not good. Okay, I'll tell you, a lot of people do this big mistakes. They start fighting the boss and they say, "I resign kar raha hu. I'm just going to leave my job." I'm not telling you not to resign because sometimes a peak point comes in your life where you get totally frustrated and say that it's not worth working under this particular person or working in this organization. But that particular decision should not be impulsive, because if you're already a responsible person for whom on whom the whole family is dependent on, even if your boss is bad, wait. So what I'm saying is that first give yourself time, okay? Then develop your mindset. Every particular human being has got his or her plus and minuses, right? Every particular person has got his plus and minuses. Look at the positives. Maybe he or she is rude. Genuinely, they could be very helpful. So the example that we give is like a coconut. They're very harsh and tough and hard from outside, but inside they're very soft. So don't go by the expressions, understand their intentions. Let me repeat that. Don't go by their expressions, understand the intentions. If the intention is good, they are good people. Okay. Secondly, if you work with them over a period of a time, you start realizing the better qualities of them. So you also start adjusting. It's like a tuning, even between two couples, or rather one couple, a man and a wife, an husband and a wife, or it happens that you always start fighting a little bit in the beginning, but over a period of a time, with experience, you start respecting. So I think if you work with a boss over a period of a time, you start respecting the person, and he or she will also respect you. The first thing is that never ever take any impulsive decisions. The second thing to do is that you have to imagine yourself 10 years from today. Why am I telling you 10 years from today? Because today you're looking at how the boss is. Tomorrow you will be the boss. After 10 years, you will start recruiting people under you. So the important thing is that at a point you have to realize that people will also judge you as a boss. If you're already having a bad boss, you can also think whether you have people reporting to you. So your top is bad, but what is your juniors talking about you? Are they happy with your leadership qualities? And today in the HR fraternity, in a lot of companies, there is something called as 360-degree evaluation. What is this 360-degree evaluation? It means they can also rate you. So you are rating your boss, but try and ask whether they are able to rate you. Are you sure you're going to get 10 on 10? No. So look at them. So, take care of them. So if your boss is not good, sometimes it's a choiceless situation. And sometimes it's a choiceful situation. But what if you were rated as a boss? So are you telling that you are a good boss? So now you develop those leadership qualities in you so that your juniors will be happy with you. So be a good boss is the answer to whether you have a good boss. Be a good boss is the answer to whether you have a good boss. Because 10 years down the line, you'll become senior. You'll be a boss of somebody. Now, let me give you a small instance that I once heard about a story. What you can learn. See, I always insist that be a good student first. It's not who the teacher is. So there was a family. And, there were twins, two boys. So these two boys actually were from very humble backgrounds. The father was not a very ideal father, a great father. He used to come home every day, drink, beat up his mother, never contribute, never spend quality time with the children. These twin boys were brought up in that kind of an ecosystem and a family environment. It so happened over a period of a time when these boys became big, they also got married, they had their own families, their own children. So one person observed this, that the first boy who had got married and had his own children, he went to him and he saw that he was actually doing what his father was doing. He used to beat up his wife, not taking care of the children, not giving quality education, time, all those things. He said, okay, very sad, the parampara continues. And then he went to the second person's house, the second twin brother, and he saw he was an excellent father. He was actually taking care of the child, contributing, and actually, taking care of household things also. So he was an ideal father, giving moral education to the children, Everybody said, okay, he's a role model father. The children also waited for the father to come home every day, tell them stories, everything. This man was confused. So he went to the first person and asked, how come you're such a bad father, such a bad family man? And he said, very simple, this is what I learned from my father. My childhood was like this. I learned all these things, what I was brought up in. That's quite natural, So what you see, that is what you do. Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. So I'm born like this. I had a bad father. I'm a bad father. So don't blame me. Blame my father. So he went to the second person and asked him, how come you're such a nice father? And his reply was, I learned it from my father how to be a good father. I learned it from my father how to be a good father. So my father wasn't a great father. He was not taking care of my mother or us probably. So I learned when I became a father, later on, I will make sure that the other qualities which I expected in a father, I will practice in my father. Now relate this particular example to being a boss. So again, if you are a good subordinate, you will learn from your boss and make sure that the mistakes that you have, or either your boss has, you will not continue. But the good qualities of the boss, you should definitely continue. In fact, in our Shastras, in Indian scriptures, it is said that when a guru is giving the knowledge to the students, in the introduction or the induction program, the prayer says that, oh my dear students, whatever is good that you find, please learn it from me. And whatever is bad in me, please don't take it. Don't take the bad things from me, take the good things from me. So this is how it is. So if you're a bad boss, okay, learn from them. And if there's a point where it becomes totally unbearable, slowly with a calculative measures, looking at your financials, plan it out small and a perfect exit from the company. But till then, don't be impulsive. If you have a great boss, continue and become a good boss. That's the answer for it. And one thing I definitely want to tell you that, I also have reverse mentors. I mentor young boys and girls, but young boys and girls also mentor me. So one of my mentors in the social media space is Manish. Manish is a great mentor of mine who actually tells me about the social media. And one very big YouTuber, his name is Ranveer Allahabadia, as all of you know. He runs a channel called as Beer Bites, a very popular guy. Many of you must have seen my videos with him. So we're also developing social media strategies. But my dear friends, we also had this brainstorming internally. If you want to meet me personally, yes, that's the point. If you want to meet me personally, we're going to actually start some face-to-face interventions. We're going to have a lot of programs after the coronavirus program going to happen. We're going to invite all of you to our office. We'll send you all the details later. So all those people who want to come and meet us personally in our office and discuss, maybe click a photograph, get some books autographed, a lot of opportunities to come and see. So please do come to our office. It's welcome, but please do send us a message, fill up the forms. So while winding up, I just want to tell you is that, what we are doing is just introducing the books to you, but we have training programs. We have also about the university course. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. The Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies at the University of Mumbai. Today we don't have time, but so many things. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But friends, I'm so fortunate that you've been spending your time. This is the third day, and we're going to continue. Tomorrow's book is going to be Katha Chanakya. Okay, so with that, I would like to suggest that all of you please join me tomorrow, and I will see you once again at 5 p.m. on the same channel. Thank you so much.